Hello and welcome, beautiful souls. This is going to be a DMDF karmic reading. And I want to say this is especially for those of you who are currently either no contact or limited contact. Oh, that's interesting. I was just realizing that I had not pulled an overall energy card for this reading and then thought about it, and then a card jumped out, and it's the Lover's card, which is in this deck, which you can't see at the moment, but it's my Alice in Wonderland tarot deck. And the Lovers is Tweedledee and Tweedledum with a vulture over them instead of the lion-headed spirit in there. Now, I like this deck because, like, it has all the same representations as a typical tarot deck and everything, but it adds a bit of absurdity to it. You know what I mean? And with the messages and energies that Spirit has been giving me even before I pulled any cards or anything, um, let's just say that Tweedledee and Tweedledum definitely are resonant energies, and so is Vulture. Vulture is an energy that represents renewal, but it's also carnivorous. You know what I mean? It's one of those, like, they're not hunters, but they do, like, their beaks and talons are meant to rip and shred and tear up carcasses so that they can eat them, and that's a part of, like, the Earth's natural process of recycling. I want to say death energy, being able to break things down. And vultures can even eat the bones, you know what I mean? And in this particular card, it's in the space of where spirit is. Like, a lot of people look at the Lover's card as being specifically about love. For me, it's always been more the Two of Cups that is specifically about love, whereas the Lover's card is more about your connection with spirit. It's often a twin flame card because, like, our connection with spirit can often be interplayed with others. But the vulture is in that position of spirit, right? So this is where, like, spirit's in this space of, like, breaking things down, tearing the meat and the sinews off, pulling the ligaments off, and breaking down the bones, right? And it really does feel like, where things are at, because, like, I got some very clear messages. So, and I'm probably going to put these in the title. So, DMs right now are feeling like absolutely resentful and rejected. And part of that feels like, so it's two things. One, it feels like they have been trying and trying and trying to make things work with the karmics. Part of it is because they do have a place in their hearts for the karmics. There are connections in there, and karmics are typically in the position of abusers, and they're really, really good at getting into those spaces and crevices where they actually do show us enough of themselves that we feel a genuine affection for them, a genuine appreciation for them. And but karmics right now are in this space of, like, I mean, the example that comes most to mind is, like, let's say things have been tumultuous. There's been a lot of spirit battles going on, 3D battles going on. You, as a DF, may even have been doing some battling between your karmics and your DM's karmic and them, and just life stuff. Like, everybody's collectively going through that kind of stuff. But karmics are in a space of, like, they're, imagine a scorpion that feels threatened and feels, like, aggressive, and so it's, like, trying to sting all sorts of things, and DMs are trying really hard not to get stung by that poison. And so they're, and also, I mean, they've gotten all entangled and enmeshed with all sorts of things. Some of these DMs got married to them, others have been involved in lease agreements, some are trying to do, other sorts of investments, some are entangled with karmics who now work at their jobs or got them to work at their job or things like that. Some are financially dependent on their karmics, things like that. And so they've been trying for, it's not just, like, recently, like, this could be years that they have been trying to placate to and calm and soothe the karmics whenever they get into this sort of, like, maniac sort of state, right? And but the problem is, like, what DM knows how to do is typically kind of chivalrous stuff. And a lot of them, they take what they recognize from what you, DF, may have done in the past. And so, like, the example I get is, like, say DM's like, you know what, let's get out of here for a while. Let's go out for dinner, right? Let's go to your favorite fancy place. But then they get to that fancy place and there's a line, right? Now, DMs are like, no, it's okay. We'll just sit here and enjoy ourselves, right? But the karmics are like, no, I don't want to wait. I want to go eat somewhere else. Let's go over to this place. And DMs are like, logically, like, if this place is busy, it's likely that other places are going to be busy. And, karmics are like, oh, no, I'd rather have fast food, completely missing the point that the, DM is there trying to be loving, trying to be affectionate, trying to give them exactly what they feel like, or what they say that they want, but then show that they don't really want. And so DMs are like, no, no, no. Come on now. Let's sit and wait here. You know that you'll enjoy the meal when we get there, right? So they wait. And the whole time the karmic's like complaining about this and that and other people and you and all sorts of other things. But DMs are doing it. They've been doing their best, right? And I feel like this is past in not quite present energy, but the near, the near past. Like this has been something that DMs have tried to do a lot, and they've overlooked a lot of this just low vibe, victim-y, aggressive, passive aggressive energy, right? So they're doing their routine, their placation, and they're like trying to soothe them and like, oh yeah, I know life's hard and you've got it so hard and people just don't understand, and they think that they've soothed the karmic, right? But then they get to the table and they get there, and like the waitress, and it feels like a waitress energy. It could be a waiter, but it feels like a waitress energy coming. Actually, what it feels like, so it feels like this energy of like if a waitress comes up, and whether she's good looking or not good looking, skinny, overweight, anything, like DMs are charming. These DMs are charming. They'll be like, hi there, yeah, I'd really like a cup of coffee, or I'd like this alcoholic beverage, or and I'd like this food, and and then they make space for their karmics to order. But if they even so much as like glance at another feminine, another female, the karmics are like, what are you looking at them for? What, I saw you looking, you were checking them out, da, 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 just really insecure going on to that. But it feels like these karmics though are like that, even if it's another masculine energy. And it does feel like these DMs have kind of a bisexual nature, maybe more just flirtationy, but still, like, they're charming with everyone. They enjoy pleasantries, they enjoy the connections, the jokes, things like that. And some of them have maybe even worked in like food service industry, been a waiter or waitress, and like, so they get it. But it feels like at this point, like the karmics are so triggered and just so venomous right now that like even if it's a waiter, even if it's a male, and and your DM is like just being kind with them, like, oh, it's a great day, I'd love a coffee, like simple stuff that any healthy person would be like, there's no big deal about that, right? These karmics are just totally upset about it. So then as soon as they've ordered everything and the waiter or waitress goes away, the karmic sits there then starting to grill the masculine. And that turns into an argument about their feelings about you. And that turns into, more discussions about breakups or divorce or investments or bullying or things like that. And it feels like DMs have finally gotten to this point to where, like, even though they could continue to soothe this situation, they could continue to turn the other cheek and do things like that, they are so done with that stuff. And it feels like part of that is because like the energy that I get from the DF collective is not accepting breadcrumbs. And it's not in an energy of like, you're not good enough for me, like a karmic would be in. And it's not in this energy of like extremely high standards. It's one of those like, I love you, and I'm no longer accepting minimalism. I'm no longer accepting like, infrequent texts. I'm no longer accepting like the smallest little positive, healthy behavior. Like, I'm going to work on me. I'm going to remain honest. I'm going to keep doing my thing. I love you. I'm giving it up to spirit and divine timing. And I know that when you are really ready, there won't be crumbs, but it feels like, what it feels like is that for these DMs, one, a lot of them have managed to kind of be pampered or babied, or they've connected with people, and even their past experience with you before you'd really faced your healing is that they were in this energy of like, when they did a little bit, especially if you guys were codependent before, if they did a little bit, you were like overjoyed, and like let's just own it. Like, you gave them everything for just a little bit, right? And so for them, like the things that they've done, they may have gone and started taking care of their health. They may have started getting better with kids if you've got kids, or with their own kids. They may have made some better business decisions. They may have started standing up for themselves to the karmics. And it feels like they made some sort of offer, or like, and it feels like it was, part of it was genuine, like, I am trying, here's a baby step, here's a crumb, here's an Easter egg for you to show you I am trying. And it feels like there was also this energy, because these DMs, they're not still connected with karmics and just big victims to this. They've been doing inappropriate things too. We all know this, right? We love them anyways. However, we're not accepting it anymore, right? And so these DMs, they also were still in this energy of like trying to save face, trying to hold on to things that they built that had that had false foundations, situations that could create tower moments, because they built them with people that were not real team members that were using them, and they built them on illusionary 3D things. And so there's still a part of them that was trying to save that was hoping that, for what felt to them like really big steps, like they were hoping that you would just, let the rest be and just be okay with that. But it feels like in this collective, that DFs were like, you know what, I love you and I love what you have given, and I expect better. I expect more. No, it is not okay that you're saying that you're just a big victim to this. No, it is not okay that you say that you just feel like you're trapped in this situation. No, it is not okay that you're allowing them to abuse you. No, it is not okay that you're neglecting the children. No, it is not okay. And it feels like you said it in, a straightforward way, like you didn't put a bow on a pile of poo and expect it to not be still a pile of poo with just a bow on it. But you also did not say it, or you did not like get into a fight about it. Like you did something, or you said something that was very much like, I don't know, just very straightforward, and very clear on where your boundaries are, that whether or not they do things that please you, whether or not they are kind, whether or not they are giving you crumbs or not, you're still holding yourself to to higher standards, to reasonable standards, reasonable morality, to honor, to honesty, to integrity, to doing what's right for your children, to to working on yourself, to having self-love and self-respect and things like that, right? So it feels like these DMs feel like because they're still healing and there's still so much work they have to do, it feels like they feel rejected. Like it feels like they got up their courage to be able to give you these crumbs, and they were already worried about what sorts of things might happen with the karmics, and a lot of these karmics are pretty nasty individuals, but they pushed those boundaries, they did their thing, and they met, they rendezvoused with you, spirit allowed it, and then like their big fear was that you would reject them, which they manifested in a way, right? Like they came to you with minimal stuff, and they likely were not completely honest. And it feels like there is this dynamic to where, and I'm going to pull a card before I say this, like, what was the plan? Karmics. Okay, yeah. So Wheel of Fortune, Page of Pentacles. Yeah, it feels like, so what it feels like is that the karmics were actually like they recognized that DMs were going to kind of try to make some moves towards you, and they couldn't prevent it, so they tried to use it, like, right? It feels like some of these DMs, there's some timelines where they knew about it and they were participating in it to try to save their reputation, save the 3D stuff to a certain degree, and also trying to like kind of stay under the karmics radar to a degree. It feels like other DMs, though, were not aware that they were being used by karmics. Like karmics kind of did this like about face of like, no, I'll be reasonable, this and that. But it feels like some of these DMs and karmics were in the space of like, you know what, give her a little cookie, right? Give her some crumbs of the cookie so that she'll be quiet, or she'll get off her path, or she'll be pulled in by the DM energy, and we can continue to do this thing. And like I said, some of these DMs didn't realize that they, this turnaround all of a sudden with karmics was a trick, and other DMs are dealing with karmics that weren't turning around, and so for them that's part of the feeling of rejection, which in this moment it feels like DMs are in this space of like, because it, to them, they're perceiving you're not accepting minimalism as a rejection and a betrayal or something like that, they they're recognizing that that feeling from you actually stings. It actually hurts. Whereas they've been betrayed and put through all sorts of things by these karmics, and it like it hurt, but it wasn't like they expected it. They knew it was there. They didn't expect any better behavior from these karmics or anyone connected to them. Like it's something that they have been used to most of their lives. But from you, like they were expecting old you stuff. They were expecting, you know, you to fawn over them. They were expecting you to just sit with the minimalism, to wait to be there and go, oh no, everything's fine as long as you're giving me some breadcrumbs and things like that. And you didn't, which is exactly what you should have done, you know. And so they're in this space of like, they're really feeling that. They're really feeling that. And for them, it's probably one of the first times that they recognize that you can love them and also not be waiting for them, not placate them, and not be willing to accept the minimalism, which for some of them, it's kind of that first realization that that's part of why they kept the blockages up that created separation and maintained separation, because to be with you means to hold themselves to a higher standard. You know, you might have things that you ask for from them. You might have certain things that you expect them to do, but you know, if they don't do it, you are capable, willing, and you have walked away before. And not in a way of like, I'm abandoning you or you're horrible or this and that. I mean, you guys have probably gone through stages of that, but clearly you have proven through your own patterns and your own words that that's not you. Like you can love them unconditionally from a distance just as well as you can right up next to them holding their hand. And so for them, this is a great confusion, but it's revealing to them a lot of things about themselves. And on top of that, you may have had some words for them that were very strong, and they may have increased the feelings of rejection of like, you know, you're not standing up and being a divine masculine. You're not standing up and doing what you know is the right thing to do for you or for your kids or for our kids or in society as a whole, you know. You might be complaining about what other people do while you're doing this thing over there. And so DMs are in this space of like, it's kind of like in the past, like if, when things like that were said, they just took it as a rejection and said, well, then I deserve to be in this situation. And now they're in this situation to where they're like, these are true. These are truths, and I don't like it. I don't like my own bullshit. I don't like being in this situation. I don't like that people can say this. And DF, if you've been working on yourself, like, you know, even if you're not on top of the world, like you know, if you have simply released unhealthy connections, you have remained honorable and in your integrity, you've managed to develop and hold healthy boundaries, ones that aren't too hard, or, you know, expectations that aren't too high, things like that, and you know, they're not too loose and stuff like that. Like you've done something. It could even be that maybe you know, your life has been tumultuous. You know, if like me, you've been going through homelessness and various different, you know, life-changing situations. It may be very simply that these DMs look at you and see that you have the courage to start over as many times as necessary, which is something that they have quite frankly felt too exhausted to do, and has been part of why they have stayed in karmic dynamics with lovers and friends and family and things like that. And so for you, someone that they appreciate, somebody that they see as strong and willing to do the hard thing, willing to do the right thing to level them and say, you know what, this is not good enough yet. Like they're in this space of like, what am I doing with my life? What am I accepting? And while they're going through these situations of like trying to take the karmic out, trying to calm them down, trying to go through all these old things, and it's working even less than it did before. And then, you know, on top of that, karmics and others in their lives are constantly asking them about you, asking them about their feelings about you, and trying to encourage them to create bigger and bigger dramas with you, trying to get them to do negative things, which many of them, let's own it, many of them have tried. But when they do it, spirit bites back. Like spirit bites back and gives them even worse karma. And they've noticed this. This is part of why they're not doing it. Like, you know, they have gone to their dark spaces and tried to, you know, treat you as that, as the bad guy. and it's bit them in their own butts. And even more on top of that, it breaks their own hearts because they know that you don't deserve it. And even if you've been in your own dark spaces and you've said some things and you've done some things, they recognize that you would not have been in those places if not for their own behaviors, right? Now, because of that, they are kind of in this like one, it was at my DM say, 1 foot in, 1 foot on a banana peel, right? Like they're in this space of like, they're still used to the old habits of placation. They're still used to the old habits of being quiet when they should speak up. They're still in this space of like being used to being abused, being used to being an abuser, being used to being, part of these dark night energies, these low vibe energies. But they're just like completely resentful of it because they see that had they put all of this energy into a dynamic with you, or even a new person that they, even somebody else like a soulmate, that they could have had it good, that they could have built something on a strong foundation that couldn't be shook, that wouldn't eventually fall. And a lot of them are also recognizing, like, especially if you are an intuitive, or or you just watch patterns and cycles, and you've predicted some things that would be outcomes that would happen, that they have like seen coming a bunch of times, and thought that they avoided, thought that they fixed it, thought that they put enough band-aids on it, or enough bondo on it to be able to hold it together. And these situations are happening anyways. They keep coming back and coming back and coming back and coming back. And even when you're not around, even when they feel like they've done everything to keep you busy, or you're off busy doing your own thing, they still feel like they're like stuck holding a pig wrapped up as a baby, like, and there's likely a situation going on to where they've been entrapped in with people that they can't get rid of because, oh, I've got children, you can't make me go, or you can't leave me, or they may be in various different contracts. I get a strong sense that foster children and other dynamics like that are involved, and like, so they've been emotionally challenged in the staying and leaving situation. But they're in the space to where they recognize, no matter what they do, like, even if you guys were so completely separated that you didn't talk, you didn't have any sort of connections, that this stuff would still happen, because it's not based in a you them thing, it's based in a them and the karmic thing. And they're really starting to recognize this. And on top of that, the karmics, the energy that I got right off the bat was stung. Right now, let's pull a card. What are karmics feeling stung about? Like, oh, wow. Cards are flying all over the place. Okay, so I've got, it was the tower on its side, but it was in a space that it looked like it was going to go upright. And the 8 of Swords reversed. So, like, there's been towers happening. Yeah, it's over the 5 of Cups. Yeah. So, what it looks like is that karmics effectively stung themselves with their own tail. And many of them may have been trying to use spell work, which does not necessarily have to be direct spell work. It could be lying, gossiping, fabricating things, trying to frame people, frame you, trying to create various different dynamics that would continue to build, their empires and towers that are built on false foundations, but it's not been working. And just like DM has found that, when they do something in a negative energy to you or to anyone, it comes back and bites them in the butt. Like, the karmics are getting that like double time, and they're really feeling stung by that, and they're really caught up in their heads. Let's see what's in the heart of the matter for that question. The Magician in reverse, and at the hot topic, the Page of Hats. So there's something about a child. There's something about, especially a child of the heart, not necessarily, I don't get the sense that this is their child. I feel like this is DM's child. It might be a child that you share with them. It might be DM's inner child. But regardless, what they wanted to manifest is not manifesting because of a child. And it's likely that this child is karmic to them. Like, this is the child who is honest and earnest, and has a strong heart, probably strong water sign placement somewhere in there. And like, they cannot manipulate them. They cannot, they can try, and they can try to confuse them. But regardless, this child has been a part of why they cannot I feel like it's multiple children too. Something to do with children, that it's almost like You know what it is? It's the karma of they tried to use children to trap your DM, and now it is children that are the reason that they are going through all of these towers. And it also feels like they may have attempted to use children to like create financial abundance and or to like trap in the masculines, and now they are trapped in by these children. They are trapped in by these situations, and that they're basically they can't do anything to these kids without getting caught or making their own situation worse. It feels like these masculines have done enough that they are again receiving divine protection to a certain degree. So the karmics can't keep hurting the masculines in certain ways. So they're in a space of like they've already pushed away pretty much everyone else that they could have like had these emotional discharges on. A lot of people are tired of helping them. A lot of people are in spaces of like, you know what, I even get the feeling that they may have like hired some tarot readers or hired some high priestesses, magicians, things like that to try to do things to derail you and like increase their own abundance, which may have worked for a time. But here's the thing: spell work that actually works to that degree has an even greater rebound effect than spell work that doesn't work, that doesn't go through. And a lot of these people that they may have hired to try to get involved in this, or people they may have hired to try to like stalk you or steal from you or scare you or do things like that, they're now stepping up and saying, no, I'm not going to help you anymore. I really get the sense that they've had some people in their lives even that in the past may have been like, you know what, yeah, I'll help you, and they knew that it wasn't going to work out and stuff like that too. But they were like, "Yeah, okay, I'll take your money, or I'll take your manipulation, or I'll do it because I'm manipulating you, karmic, in a different way, whatever it is." And now those people are in a space of recognizing that they're going to get their own bad karma for continuing to do this. And on top of that, like the karmics are starting to come at them as if it's their fault that the spell work or these jobs like rebounded on them and got them caught. And so they don't like being treated that way either. And it feels like these karmics are in this space of just like, I mean, Eight of Swords. In this deck, it's got Alice from Alice in Wonderland surrounded. It's the Eight of Flamingos, and there's all these flamingos around her, but they're not even actually looking at her. Like, they're looking off in different directions, but she's like got her hands up like she's swatting at them as if they are like coming at her. And this is one where in a typical deck it represents thoughts, it represents insecurities, it's like feeling it's that imprisoned by your own mind sort of card. So it feels like, actually, you know what it feels like? It feels like these karmics tried to do some dirty work to try to drive you crazy and have only really succeeded in driving themselves crazy. It feels like some of them may have also had some sort of plans to drive the masculines crazy and to be able to benefit off that, kind of like a Black Widowy sort of energy. And it also, again, did not work. And so we've got this dynamic of like, DMs are in this energy of feeling resentful and feeling really rejected, and they're getting, they're getting extra bratty with everyone. They're in a space of like, you know what, I'm tired of giving to anybody, and they're finally, that's getting them into this space of like, you know what, I'm going to give to myself. Like everyone else is being entirely selfish. I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to do what's right for me and or what's right for my children. And then, they've got, and part of that is because DFs, we're off doing our thing, saying, you know what, I'm here to line up with you when the time is right. I'm here if you really need something good, but only when you are in the right energy, when you are standing in your honor and integrity. And and then karmics are over there basically stinging themselves with their own tails. And as they do that, they get swollen, they get more stuff going on. The being poisoned by their own poison ends up creating more of the delusions and mental fevers that they were trying to create in others. So it creates this dynamic of like, well, I don't know. I don't know how to describe the dynamic, but it definitely makes sense on that first card that I said, the lovers, Tweedledum and Tweedledee with a vulture over the top of them, So let's see. Wow. I was just thinking to myself, let's see what Spirit wants us to know about this. And immediately what popped out is the King of Cups upright, King of Hats. So it feels like for those of you on this, your DM may be a strong water sign. I'm really getting the sense that a Cancer sign. And it feels like they really want to come to you with a message, like, and it's a full cup message. It does not necessarily mean, however, that it is a message that is, well, let's see, what's the message? What do they want to say? Or what's the theme of what they want to talk about? Okay. We've got the moon, strength, and and again, the King of Cups. So, and it's over the Magician reversed. Let's see what the hot topic is. Yeah, the Five of Swords reversed. And what's in the heart of the matter? The High Priestess reversed. You know what it feels like? It feels like these masculines kind of have a combination. Like some of them want to come and fight with you. Let's just be realistic. Not in a like they want to come and hurt you or they want to get you bound up into something. Like they're just upset. They're upset about the whole situation. They're upset about other things, and you are kind of this safe space to have emotions thing. And they want to come and just like let you look into their cup. That's what I'm kind of getting from looking at this king holding out his cup or his hat rather with this emotional energy in it. But it feels like whether they want to do that or not, really what it is that they're not sure where to go or what to